Committee meeting to order. Appreciate everybody having a seat. Good evening. We will start with a prayer. Commissioner Lanny Selby, do you care to lead us in prayer, sir?
Most kind of gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for another day. We thank you for the many, many blessings that you just continue to send our way. Lord, we just pray that you just keep your hand upon the leaders of this county, Lord, that we make the right decisions, that we make godly decisions, Lord. And Lord, everything we do, we're going to give you the praise, honor, and glory, because you're the maker of all things and the giver of all things. We pray and ask this name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. All right, number 3 will be roll call.
Dakota White.
Here.
Larry Daniels.
Here.
Chris Brewington.
Here.
TK Austin.
Here.
Jordan Cook.
Here.
Becky Golden. Here. Roger Mason.
Thank you, ma'am. Number 4 will be approval of the report from February 2nd solid waste meeting. I'll accept the motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion, corrections, or changes? There being none, we'll move to vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Minutes do pass. Number 5 is approval of the APR report. Will that be the executive?
That would be the executive. It's an annual report that we get every year that I can't remember just exactly what all it covers, but it's done by the state, and we passed and made the grade again. It's like a 10-year plan.
Yeah, our 10-year annual progress
yeah.
report. You said it in our
It's in there.
in our attachments, which we appreciate very much. I'll accept a motion to accept that as stated.
Make a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, we'll move to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Moving on to number 6 will be old business. I do know, Mr. Tom Brandon with Waste Management called me earlier. He is coming to the meeting tonight, but he's not going to be able to make it for solid waste. So if it's all right with everybody, whichever committee he comes in on, he's coming in from Nashville to just give us like a 30,000 foot overview update. I told him he could do that in A or B, just whenever he gets here, if that's all right with y'all as well. Any old business?
No news on the convenience center progress?
Yeah.
We do have an update. Go ahead, Chairman Hutchins.
I seen Jerry Sawyer sent some pictures today to me. They have got some of the blocks, most of the blocks set. They've got a can there where they're doing some measuring and stuff. Fencing was being put up today as well. Probably next week, possibly, that it could open. Maybe if there's some staff, if they can coordinate staffing stuff, it might be able to be open that quick possibly. He's about finished with his part of it. I think he said he was going to come in, his part of the rock and material and stuff, I think he said he was going to come in right at 30.
Thank you for that, and I know there's pictures of that too as well. It does look good. Any other old business? Any new business to come before the Solid Waste Committee? All right, we will open it up to members of the audience. Does anyone have anything they'd like to address the Solid Waste Committee about?
So once the new center gets, or the temporary, gets opened up, is that going to affect the Cassville or the other extra days that we're doing at those community centers? Is that going to change anything?
Not to my knowledge, no, sir. Do you have any?
I don't.
Well, the reason that there was extra days added to those other sites was because of the closure. But at this time, there's not been anything said one way or the other. I always just assumed that at the point we got that other one, because the people that are manning those days are the people that were running the site that was at the landfill. So odds are good, don't know for sure, but odds are good that they will go back to the regular schedule.
Right. And I guess it'd be a good idea to communicate that to the community so they'll know, you know, I guess a timeline.
Yes, sir.
And you mentioned temporary, and I've been asked that question myself quite a bit. The only temporary part is that it's not the final
Okay.
with a compactor and so forth. That is, it's not a temporary site, that is where the
It's the
convenience
initial-
center
the initial-
will be at for the foreseeable future for a
Right.
long time, many years. It's just the temporary part is where we're trying to get some cans put up, because the long term is gonna take, I don't know, engineering and all of that is probably gonna be a year or longer.
But the
So
quicker you can get it
have
opened
them
up
some
for
access
the
for
community.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? All right, we'll move to a calendar update. Full court will be March 16th, 2026, right here in this room at 6 PM. And this committee will meet again on April 6th at 5 PM. I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you all.
At this time, we'll go ahead and call Steering Committee A to order. Roll call, please.
Roger Mason, Lanny Selby, Larry Daniels,
Here.
Chris Brewington,
Here.
Thomas Markson, Becky Golden, TK Austin.
Here.
Oh,
Okay. At this time, I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the February 2nd Steering Committee. Motion please read.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Okay, update on the sign at the David Culley Recreational Complex. I have spoken with, with Chris and Don Piercy. And at this time, he's working on a sign, which me and Chris talked about it, and it's coming out of his budget now. So we're gonna let him kind of take the lead on this and get us a sign, which he sent some pictures I need to send to you, Chris, and but we're working on it. All right, this time, any old business?
Just on that sign thing right there is, so we need to, between now
Well,
and next month,
I mean, we're
yeah, we need to
either
find.
this, I talked to Don and we was gonna try and meet sometime toward the end of this week.
Good deal, because I'm
So,
tired of kicking that
yeah.
can. Let's
Yeah.
get this done and over with.
Yeah,
If I could,
me too.
Mr. Chairman, I've had several calls about the cost of the sign.
Yeah,
Do you know an idea?
well, Don's not on board with big signs, so
Okay.
it's coming out of his committee, and that's all I know. Or out of his budget. Okay, any old business? Any new business? Would anyone from the audience like to address this committee? Okay, oh, okay.
On the subject of the course, I apologize, I missed the last meeting where we announced Mr. Pearson as the new Parks and Rec person. I was just curious, and I know you guys had resumes and did the whole job search on that, but is there a job description per se for this position?
It was on the state site, wasn't it?
There is a, I guess you'd call it kind of a tentative job description. We're kind of developing this department, this whole thing as we go. Mr. Pierce will be involved in actually helping design exactly what goals and stuff he will be doing. So there is a job description, but it's very broad. Basically, whatever needs to be done, he will do. And then as we go through and see what is needed, what's happened, that job description will be further refined.
Yeah, I was just curious because I mean, when you're interviewing somebody for a position, I mean, it's, I guess in general, they should have skills to be able to fulfill that, and obviously Mr. Piercy must have those skills. And I was just curious if there was something already written out on what the job protects.
The first order of business was to make sure the parks are in good shape, see what needs to be done, what needs to be repaired, and to get it scheduled to keep that up, monitoring the mowing such as that. Right now that's subbed out, he'll be making sure that's done, and then it will be getting tournaments and such as that. It's going to be his first line of business.
Thank you.
Okay. Would anyone else like to address this committee? Okay, hearing none, our calendar updates. Monday, March 16th will be our next full court meeting, and April 6th will be the next steering committee A meeting. This time I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion and second. All in favor say aye. Aye.
All right, we'll go ahead and open the steering committee B meeting. We'll go ahead and open the steering committee B meeting for March. First up is roll call, please.
Kenny Rogers.
Here.
Dakota White.
Here.
Kyle Goff. David Cranford. Jordan Cope.
Here.
Robert McCormick. Derek Hutchins.
Here.
You have a quorum.
All right, thank you. First item on the agenda is the minutes from the February 2nd steering meeting.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Got a motion by Derek, Commissioner Hutchins, second by Commissioner White. And any discussion on the minutes from February? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Item 4 on the agenda, update on the storage for the circuit court clerk.
So we potentially have the ability of doubling the capacity at about the same price with the one that we had discussed about, but we don't have 100% confirmation on that. So the one that we had discussed is still secured for us, but we want to hold up before we make the final decision on that until we determine the space on this other one. If we can get double the capacity for the same amount of money, that's the way we want to go if we can. So more information forthcoming on that.
So table this and continue, okay. All right. Item 5 on the agenda, update on Roland Sawmill.
We're projecting that to be out on the street for bids next week. We'll be soliciting bids starting next week on that, so.
Okay. Anything else on that from the committee, anybody else?
It'll be out for bid.
Next week.
How long is the window, bid window?
10 to 14 days is what we usually typically do, so probably 2 weeks.
So purchase, so it could be on the agenda for committee to approve next month?
Yes, yeah, it would be.
Is the bid for
What's the bid for,
Yeah.
just out of curiosity? Is that for the mowing and the upkeep, or?
It's for the shelter.
Or the shelter part, okay.
Anything else on that? If not, we'll move on to item 6, surplus property.
Guess I should have just got up here to begin with, shouldn't I? There is a patrol car that's in your packet. It's a 2015, I do believe, a Ford Explorer. It's reached the end of life for the sheriff's department's usage, and they're looking to surplus that and put it on gov deals for sale.
I'll make a motion to send it to full court.
Second.
Commissioner White, motion, second by Commissioner Cope. Any further discussion on the surplus? This does go to full court.
Director Michael, when those surplus, do they go back into the money go back in the general fund, or does it go stay in the sheriff's department fund? I can't remember how we.
So if that particular vehicle is purchased with the general fund, so it goes into the general fund, and then typically the sheriff's department likes to reallocate that money, so that would come before you guys as a budget amendment to appropriate those funds for a particular purpose for them. It doesn't automatically go through that process. It has to go through the county commission to get reappropriated.
Okay.
But it does go into the general fund, and then you guys can appropriate it out.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we got a motion, second. Any last discussions on this item? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, motion is approved, send full court. Item 7 on the agenda, old business. Is there any old business? Going once, going twice? We'll move on to new business.
Mr. Chairman, Vice Chairman, I have a couple of questions to ask under new business. I was in Nashville last week at the County Commissioner Association meeting. Something that come out of it was floodplain administrator. I think I asked Executive Robinson if we had a policy in place for that, and we do. Is that correct? Who is the administrator?
It would be me now. Brooke was our floodplain administrator, but
Okay.
it's back on me.
Okay.
Floodplain
Yes.
administrator.
So, do you want to explain it, or?
Well, basically, your FEMA, federal insurance, floodplain insurance stuff, you've got to have a floodplain coordinator and enforce the floodplain regulations. We do enforce those through the building department. It does the enforcement, but we do have a floodplain policy. But if we don't have the policy and enforce it, then if something was to happen, FEMA would not recognize us as a recipient of any funds. Sorry, didn't finish that sentence.
And then I had something else that come up, was a mutual aid agreement. I'm pretty sure the fire service has a mutual aid agreement, but they were talking about expanding further than that. I guess with TEMA and FEMA funds, we'd have the ability to capture funds like from the highway department, if they send a dozer, or the fire truck, if they send a fire truck to us, to a county that had a natural disaster, we could collect funds on that. I think maybe even ambulance and sheriff's department, so I wasn't for sure if we had a mutual aid for all of our services or not. I know, I've asked Director McBride to speak on that, so if you.
You've got the floor.
Okay, so the way that works is on FEMA or TEMA reimbursement. Usually what we do as far as a county level, on deployment, if we go for the day or a short duration, usually like with Chad, even if we bring resources into here, there's certain FEMA and TEMA forms that we have to fill out that would offer reimbursement. As Chad has seen and probably can speak, they bill for different things. Dump trucks are at a certain rate versus a fire truck versus an ambulance versus patrol cars. I won't speak for the sheriff's office today, but William, an employee of the ambulance service, has been known, he's been on deployment too, so the Cool tornadoes. Usually if it's a one-day deal, we don't stress too much over funding. Usually the county will eat that. It's very hard unless we send paid personnel. You know, 99% of our fire service here and rescue service is volunteers, so it's very hard for, I'll use just my name, it'd be very hard for Matt McBride, that is strictly a volunteer that works a 40-hour work job, to go and deploy. A TEMA deployment or a FEMA deployment is usually guaranteed for 7 to 14 days. So it's very hard for a volunteer to take 2 weeks off to be deployed for a swiftwater team to Louisiana, Florida, so forth. So that's why you see a lot of task force teams come out of, Tennessee, Task Force 1, 2, 3, and 4. Those are made up of a lot of career people or retired people that can deploy for a week to 2 weeks. There is FEMA forms that are filled out for reimbursement for those. That is correct. As far as the mutual aid, the Tennessee Fire Service has a mutual aid system. Chief Brewington and myself are both part of that. That we have a coordinator that lives in the county, which is Jason Sparks, that is appointed through the state of Tennessee. The call will come to him depending on the resources needed or the personnel that's needed, and then it just trickles down. So if somebody calls and needs a swiftwater team, when Livingston and Overton needed water, we sent tankers and shuttles and stuff like that. If we'd have been there for a long duration, 1 to 2 weeks, we would have probably started that paperwork process for that federal reimbursement if it gets declared a disaster.
The way it was, Chairman Danny Jowers, Jowers, was who was speaking on it. He was specifically talking about mutual aid for surrounding counties, not necessarily statewide or out of
Correct.
state. And what he mentioned was like we could get up to $350 per fire truck per hour or per day. That was if we had, but we had to have a mutual aid agreement. And he was kind of talking about a surrounding county. He specifically mentioned $350 for a fire truck, and I don't know what that consisted of. If it was a pumper.
Yeah. Did he go into detail what type of disaster or the duration of it or length or anything?
He didn't.
I mean, we've made multiple times to go up to Crossville City and stand by. Our Cookville has come down here with a tower truck to the city of Sparta, or here Putnam County Fire has come down, and we never. That's on normal copy as far as a normal operation, as far as station standby, I would think.
He even mentioned a dozer, like from the highway department, could do like $500 a day.
That has to be on
I
federal.
can speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, because that has to be on federal billing.
If
as far
there
as the
is
disaster
a
situation.
natural disaster or something that's declared by the governor or by the president, then TEMA would come in and reimburse that. If it's called by the natural disaster is called by the mayor of the jurisdiction, then the county would be responsible for paying that amount to your neighboring counties. We have an agreement where we have them, when they have little incidents, they have us, we have incidents, and we don't charge each other. It'd have to be declared by a state organization or federal level before we would actually send a bill to Cumberland County or Putnam County or somebody like that.
Yeah, they would
If it was
request that
declared a
connection.
disaster, it's in the bill that the TEMA or FEMA, depending on the situation, would then at that point do that. But we just, amongst our neighbors, we don't do that unless there's been a natural disaster problem.
And I think most of that come from the flooding in East Tennessee. I think that's what kind of got everybody.
It was a total different ballgame.
Yeah,
You had multiple resources, multiple agencies responded to that in multiple states. I mean, there was people all the way from the West Coast that responded to that as far as swiftwater teams and whatnot. So, and you had long duration. I mean, Putnam County had a pod set up for an EMS base across the river because there was one way in, one way out for 2 to 3 months. And that's when those costs come in. But as far as like brush fires, wildfires, hazmat incidents, I have a mutual aid agreement with Crossville City as far as for hazmat incidents inside this county that is fulfilled or backfilled by Coolville City also, because we do not have, or the resources here for a complete hazmat team. So we reach out to those to cover this work. We can get it started with basic supplies, but if it takes a full-blown hazmat incident, they're the ones that has the resources. Same way with structural collapse. We can get structural collapse started and start to maintain it here because we have structural collapse trained people. But we would also call for the city of Crossville because they have everything on the trailer and it's mobile and readily available.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question for this committee, and I don't know if y'all could answer it, but maybe Executive Robinson could. The building codes, young man, Hunter, is he progressing with his, has he took any tests or anything? And also, is it just him, or have you filled his own position? Or put out requesting resumes for it?
Phil, there's somebody in the office now that Hunter occupied before.
Okay.
There is, Hunter's still doing it. I'm not sure exactly how it's progressing. He knows that he has a year to get this done, and he knows what happens if he doesn't get completed.
Correct.
That was made perfectly clear. But I don't know how he's progressing at the moment, at this particular time. Did you have another question? I think you did.
Well, I just asked if there had been like somebody, a position open for his, I guess, his position, but you said there's somebody in the office now.
Now, we had looked before, I think we've appropriated funding for a second inspector.
Yes, we had back.
Yeah, that, Bob Lane is assisting right now. It's kind of, funding wise, it's kind of filling that position because Bob is kind of his mentor type
Okay.
thing. And I think we also still have Laney kind of on standby in case of an emergency.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Additional new business?
Mr. Brandon, are you ready? Hey. Come on. So this isn't necessarily pertaining to this committee, this is just for solid waste and for all the commissioners here, as long as it's all right with you, sir.
I'm good with it.
Yes, thanks for putting the cover.
Yes, sir.
We come to give you guys an update with the landfill where we are. So, great news. We have been, we've been taking volume there for about 3 or 4 months in the old cell up the hill. I don't know when's the last time you guys were there. So we've turned the corner. We opened up our new cell 3 or 4 weeks ago. And now we're going to be able to fold in some new contracts we've got. And also the city of Sparta's coming to us now, bringing their volume to us every day, which is a good thing. So the new sale, we're anticipating with some of the recent contracts we've received, and just for example, DeKalb County, that's a new contract we got back in July. That's going to start coming to us. We'll transition that. We bought a company up in Cumberland County, Selk. They have a full operation transfer station. That volume will also be coming to us in the next 3 or 4 weeks. We have a tipper that's going to be installed. It's got a phone with Stephen on March the 13th. So when that happens, then we can really flex and start bringing in additional volume. Let's see, what am I missing here, guys? Rutherford County. Gosh, I could forget that. So Rutherford County, they have a new transfer station. It's about a $17 million transfer station. We partner with them, and all that volume is going to be coming to us. It's about 9,000 tons a month. So the county will start receiving host benefit for that. So anticipation, next 4 to 6 weeks, the county is going to be getting approximately 1,200 tons per day. So that's huge. Do the math with your host fee agreement, and that's just the beginning. So do the math at $1.50, and you're probably looking at close to about $400,000 a year. That's just based on 1,000 tons. I think we'll be getting more than that, hopefully between now and next year, but me just doing the math on what volumes currently generated with those contracts, that's what's gonna be coming in. Anything else, what else is new? Oh yeah, we're moving the entrance to the Old Kentucky Road, so that's gonna be April, that's projection of that. We're gonna close the old entrance down and open that up. That's good. And we're also working with TDOT on making sure we're safe out there on the Old Kentucky Road, putting some flashing lights and things like that. Make sure we're trying to do the right thing with safety. It's a big deal for all of us. Anything else? Questions? I mean, now I'll say this. This body has, you may not get recognition today for it, but this body has done a tremendous job with doing the right thing, selling the landfill to WM. You're in good hands for a long time. So I think you'll see the financial benefit also in the community involvement for a long time. So heck, you'll take your picture before you leave and put it up on the wall, because they'll say, those guys right there is a big deal. We're getting this money through perpetuity. So, all right. Anything else? May have anything?
No, appreciate you coming.
Yep.
I'm sure the budget committee's got all ears. So,
Thank you, sir.
yep, thank you.
Yes.
Thank y'all.
Thank you. All right, before we move on, any other new business? Yep.
One last thing on the update, I know a couple of months ago it was very important to everybody on the Blondie Croft truck, so just an update. We went and took pictures of that 2 weeks ago with Mr. Danny Sherrill. I'm working with Danny right now, and I've got to write a description for him. They've agreed to let the county assist them with listing that on GovDeals, and I talked to him a couple of days ago, and he asked if I would write a description for him. We got all the info and the hours and the miles on it, so hopefully I can give a chat and get that listed either by the end of this week or beginning of the first week. So just wanted to let everybody
Yeah,
know that that's,
good.
we're
Thank
real
you.
close there.
Thank you, sir.
All right, lots going on. Anything else?
That jogged my memory. Did the school board executive, or have you heard from the school board about the property, the fire department properties? Did they make a decision how they were going to handle?
We are working to come up with a plan that is countywide. That plan hasn't been finalized, but basically in a nutshell, everything will be, we're working towards getting everything in the counties now, or the county general.
County general out of the school board?
Yeah.
Thank you.
They've not voted on that, but that's the plan that we're pushing for.
Thank you.
Okay. If there's nothing else, calendar update. Next full court meeting will be Monday, March 16th, with the next steering committee B meeting being April 6th.
Make a motion to adjourn, sir.
Second.
Motion and second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
There you go.
Thank you, sir. All right, we will call the Budget Committee meeting to order. Appreciate everybody hanging out tonight. We will start with approval for minutes, of the minutes for February 2nd, 2026.
Motion?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? There being none, we will vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Minutes are approved. Number 3 will be the fiscal year 2026 budget. Part A is the school federal projects fund. This will stay in committee. Director Markham, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What's before you tonight is a $90,000 new funding program for the Subfund 954 Literacy Materials Implementation Support Grant. This will be used to provide for district-wide training in literacy materials for the implementation, and also supplemental book sets for grades 6 through 12. This is a new federal grant, and that's why it's showing up as a new budget. It does go before the school board when they meet later this month, and does not require full county commission approval, just this body.
But still contingent upon school board approval.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Y'all have heard the explanation.
I'll make a motion to approve contingent on school board approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion about this? There being none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That does pass. Number 4 will be 2026 budget amendments. Director Markham, we will just let you take the lead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first one is in the general fund, so we have 3. The first 3 here will be presented to the county commission if approved by this body tonight. The first one is for a $28,100 amendment. This is it's a little bit different, but just so, let me read this here. It's to appropriate funding for the White County from the White County Firefighters Association for various department needs in order to liquidate the association's funds. The association voted to disband and liquidate the remaining funds in their account, and for an effort of full transparency, the funds were turned over to the county and will be liquidated out to purchase items that were approved by the various volunteer departments at the last association meeting. The county did make contributions to the Volunteer Firefighters Association for many years. That we did stop that 2 years ago, I think. And then, so they're turning all the remaining funds that they had left over to us and allowing us to disperse those in accordance with our purchasing policies. So all those funds will be used for the volunteer fire departments. It's just going through our process. And so in order to do that, we have to appropriate those funds coming in and then also going out. And we're tracking that separately from all of our other expenditures with a special cost center. You may have any questions on that.
So in other words, the funding that the association done away with, now that funding goes into EMA or emergency management?
No.
No.
So the budget amendment's in the fire prevention and control. So that $28,000 that's in the account right now, that was written out as a check to the county, and it's going into this line in the fire department budget that we have, where we make contributions to the fire department, and we're buying equipment with that, just like we're doing the $10,000 equipment for each department. So,
Is this going to be an equal split between the departments, or is it?
I think that they had various ways that they wanted that split up. I think they had a couple of different options, and each department chose. Maybe speaking out of turn there, but my understanding was that it was agreed upon by the departments.
You're correct. You're correct.
Okay. So the only reason it's coming through this body is because we have to recognize the money and then appropriate it going out. So it's no new money from the county, and really no new money going forward. It's just a one-time thing. Kind of think of it as a grant of our own money back to ourselves.
Mr. Director, can I speak real quick? Chad. Just real quick, I'm going to comment on that.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, you're fine.
With that, when he said it went in and went out, it was just for transparency, like he said, and that's what we wanted. So it's for, as we talked about chief at the association meeting with the radios and
No.
thermals, so, yeah.
Thank you, sir.
So Commissioner Brewington, as a fire chief, the chiefs agree that this is to be, everybody's good with how it's allocated, no?
Am I correct, Matt? Everybody agreed to it?
Okay. I'll make a motion.
Oh, well,
If you're
Do them all
fine with.
together.
yeah, if you don't care, I'll move on to
Sure,
2 and
sorry.
3 here. Amendment number 2 is a $15,000 amendment. So this is to appropriate a contribution to the American Legion Post 99 to provide a grant match. The grant and the matching funds that would be appropriated here will be used to repair the foundation of the elevator addition that was made to the American Legion building several years ago, which is failing currently. And this will be a one-time contribution to the American Legion and would follow all of our contribution guidelines as far as financial statements and so on and so forth that we make each year. And then amendment number 3 is a $24,816 amendment. This is to appropriate Department of Justice Bulletproof Vest Partnership Program grant funding, which requires a 50% match from the department. So it's federal money of $12,408, and then local funds appropriated here of $12,408 and used to provide bulletproof vest for the various officers at the Sheriff's Department. Those 3 would require county commission approval.
Any further explanation? I'll accept a motion to send to full court for all 3.
Motion.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Do we have any discussion?
Mr. Markham, on the American Legion, I'm sorry, is that a 50-50 match, or is it?
Yes, that was a 50-50 match.
And does the American Legion own the building, or does the county own that building?
The American Legion owns the building. We provide funding for the,
Employee.
we pay rent for the office for the veteran service officer, and then we also provide funding for all the utilities.
Thank you. No further questions, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. We'll move to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It does go to full court. All right, 4B, I apologize. So one more within committee. This will be the Election Commission for supplies reallocation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a $2,000 amendment for the Election Commission's moving funds out of the office equipment line to the office supplies line to better allocate funds for the upcoming elections.
Thank you, sir. This will stay within committee. Accept a motion to,
Motion.
we have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That does pass. All right, Director Markham.
The next amendment is for the Highway Public Works Fund. This one would go to the County Commission for approval. So in the original budget, we estimate the funding that we will receive through the state aid program. We were a little off this year on that, and so good news is we received an additional $63,000 in state aid funds above what was budgeted, and so we're allocating those funds. This is an increase to the Revenue Code 46420 State Aid Program, and then a corresponding increase to the State Aid Projects Capital Outlay line item.
Thank you, sir. Heard the explanation. Accept the motion.
Motion.
Thank you.
Second.
And a second. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Does pass. Our last one is school federal projects, and this will stay within committee. Director Markham.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. These will be before the school board at their meeting later this month, so if you do approve these tonight, we ask that you do so contingent on school board approval. The first one is Subfund 801. This is the Carl Perkins Basic Grant. This is an additional allocation of $3,566.35 received from the state. That is going mainly toward instructional supplies and materials. And then we're also reallocating some funds that were unused in travel and other supplies and materials, and reallocating that also into instructional supplies and materials and travel, different travel code according to the State Department of Education's request. The second amendment is Subfund 897. This is the Access for All Learning Network grant. This is again a reallocation. It's a $4,464.07 reallocation. We're moving funds out of certified substitute teachers and those corresponding benefits of Social Security and Medicare. And that's going toward instructional supplies and materials and other supplies and materials, just so we can liquidate those funds and use every bit of those grant funds that we can this year on the students and their needs.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. So this will stay within committee, and it will be contingent upon the school board approval. Accept a motion.
I'll make a motion contingent on school board approval.
We do have a motion and a second. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? It does pass. All right. We'll move on to number 5, which will, any old business to come before the budget committee.
Mr. Chairman, I had failed to include on the agenda that was emailed out the review of the monthly financial report that was requested last month, and so I apologize about that, but I do have that and provided you a copy of it. It is the financial report that was submitted in the consent calendar in the February 17th County Commission meeting.
And you've done this for quite some time.
Yes, yeah.
Well, thank you for doing that. Very.
Be glad to answer any questions or comments, or I can provide a brief overview, whatever works best for the committee.
Anybody from the committee have any?
I've read over it, but I think if you don't care to give us a brief overview for the general audience to know.
So we are, this is financial report through the month of January 2026, which marks 7 months of our fiscal year. The January continues the trend of strengthening fund balances through the property tax collections. Beginning in March, or this month that we're in right now, we'll start to see those revenues fall off, and fund balances will begin to normalize somewhat. Year-to-date expenditures currently exceed revenues across all funds, but this aligns with historical patterns for this point in the fiscal year, and we don't really have any major concerns at this point. And the general fund revenues total approximately $10.94 million. That's about 52% of the annual budget. As far as property tax collections are concerned, we've reached, at the end of January, we'd reached $5.91 million, or 57% of the budgeted amount. At this point, as present day, we would be more closer to 100%. About half of those taxes get paid in the last month of the tax availability period, or probably the last 2 days, actually. Local option sales tax collections for the general fund total $630,599, which is 55% of the annual estimate and reflects an increase over the prior year. Expenditures and encumbrances in the general fund were $12.5 million, or roughly 56% of the budgeted appropriations, but overall budget, departmental budgets fall largely within the expected ranges for January. The solid waste fund continues a strong financial position with year-to-date revenues and transfers of $2.73 million and expenditures and operating within expectations at $1.28 million, resulting in a larger fund balance. But most of that fund balance, or not most of it, some of that fund balance will be used for the construction and capital projects for this department that are upcoming. Within the general purpose school fund, revenues through January totaled $22.7 million, representing a slight decrease, or 0.33% from the same period last year. This is attributable to several factors, one of which is the reduction of property tax revenue distributed to the schools. This reduction was offset by an increase in budgeted local option sales tax revenue. Expenditures and encumbrances totaled $22.1 million, and an increase of 7.35%, or $1.5 million from January 2025. These expenditure increases continue to be driven largely by salaries and wages for regular instruction, which rose by $1.1 million, almost 1.2 over the prior year, and that is due to the one-time teacher bonus that was a part of the school voucher legislation approved by the General Assembly last session that went in and then also goes back out. as well as necessary transportation capital outlays for equipment and buses. General debt service fund continues to show growth with an estimated ending fund balance of $11.33 million. That is driven by we have year-to-date of $1.8 million in revenues with only $250,000 in expenditures, but that's because we've not made our principal and interest payments, which will be due later in May. So countywide, year-to-date revenues across all funds as of the end of January were $42.82 million, compared to $51.36 million in expenditures and encumbrances. Again, this results in a temporary net decrease in total fund balances, which is anticipated and primarily driven by the timing of capital project activity accounted for in the General Capital Projects Fund. Overall, White County remains in a stable financial position as we head into the fiscal year 2027 budget discussions.
Thank you very much, sir. Any other questions, comments, thoughts?
Director Markham, on the sales tax, you said you're showing about 55% collections through January. I would assume with November and December, we would have a spike in sales tax revenue, and then it would fall off somewhat January, maybe February, the first quarter. Am I right in assuming that is 55%? You said it was an increase over the prior year, but is that?
Yeah, so our big increase, our big spike that will be when we receive the funds in February's report, because that is collected from the taxpayer in December.
Okay.
So it's 2 months behind from the time that's collected from the taxpayer till it gets to us. So we will, now I don't have those numbers for the February numbers just yet, but as of the November numbers, which would be in this report that we would receive in January, which you're starting to get into that holiday Christmas season spending there, they are up slightly from the prior year, but it's still trending in the same pattern as it has.
So it's and then by the time we hit June and July, then we're getting March.
Yeah, so once you hit that December peak, it falls off pretty drastically in January, and typically one of our lowest months, and then it starts kind of going back up, and by the time you get to March, April, or May, as far as when it's collected from the taxpayer, it starts to normalize again.
So we're on track, a little bit ahead of track of what we should be to close the year out. So what you're on that one?
Yes, yeah, as of right now.
Anything else before we move forward? All right. Any old business to come before the budget committee?
Dakota, I don't know if it'd be old business or new business, but when it was announced earlier that the sign was gonna come out of the Parks and Rec budget, I'm assuming, what about the $10,000 that was earmarked, left over from Waste Management for the sign?
That's all in that budget.
So, Director Markham, if you want to answer that, I would say that it's sitting in that budget with basically a comment beside it saying, hey, this is for the sign.
Okay, that was
In a basic
Okay.
answer. Is that correct, sir? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you.
So it's there.
Thank you.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. Absolutely. Any other old business? Do we have any new business to come before the budget committee? All right, we will open it up to the floor. Does anybody in the audience like to speak to the budget committee before we move forward?
I do. I have a question. As you all know, I'm running for White County Executive, and throughout my campaign,
Come on up, Ms. Penny.
I've been asked by many people in the county about money that I have no idea about, that they said was a widow lady left for the animal shelter several years ago. Can y'all elaborate on that? I mean, I'm on facts, and I want to know what it's all about.
Sure. I mean, a very short answer, and I mean, Director Markham's here as well, is she did leave, I couldn't tell you the exact number.
70,000.
70.
Okay.
But there's been
Some of
several
that-
dollars spent out of
So,
that.
some of that has been spent. We had a large chunk that went towards food, at one point, is that correct?
And then, well, a large chunk went towards salary.
And salary, we did a
Okay.
part-time employee for a little
Yeah.
bit. But there still is the cumulative chunk,
Right.
cumulative chunk still sitting
Because
there.
I know the situation with the animal
Yeah.
shelter, that eventually it's gonna have to be moved and all that type of thing. And I was just curious, what happened. I mean, wasn't
Yes,
aware of
ma'am.
it. I've had several
No,
people
that
ask
money
about
is
it.
sitting there. What's been expensed has been expensed openly on, and I forgot about the part-time and then the dog food.
Okay.
Uh,
That makes sense.
We ran into some, I guess you say some chokeholds at one point, 2 years ago, y'all, roughly?
Yeah.
With some funding and, a bunch of people came and some of that has been expensed.
Okay. How much of it is left, do y'all know?
Oh.
How much?
Between 50 and 60, I think.
Yeah,
Am I
that-
right?
I think around 50
Okay.
is what we had discussed at a meeting a
That's
few.
about 50 to 52.
The largest
Yeah.
bulk is still there.
Well, yeah.
It's still there, I got you.
And the reason that has not been spent because of anticipation of moving.
Right.
The
I got you.
shelter,
That makes
possibly.
sense. That does make sense.
Yes,
All right,
ma'am.
thank y'all so
Mhm.
much, appreciate it.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else from the audience?
I have a few questions.
Where do we stand on the sales tax? What are we gonna do with that?
It's the $1 million question, literally.
What do we stand on what? I'm sorry.
Sales tax.
Well, we had our meeting.
We had a work
after-
session.
A work session after last month, which you were here for.
Okay, you gotta give that back to her first.
I don't have a direct answer for it. I mean, we were all here last month. Nothing's been ironed out, is the real answer. I mean, that's the truth to it all. I mean, there's not one thing that said, hey, this fund's going to A, B, or C.
Right. Well, I firmly believe that sales tax is the fairest tax. But for it to be passed to the public, we're gonna have to have something in writing to help the property owners. If not, I'm not voting for it. Because I'm not gonna give more money for somebody to just waste. I'm not gonna do it. Because I'm gonna pay the property taxes regardless. So we need to put it in writing so the public knows what they're gonna be getting. If it's coming off of our property taxes, which I think it should. That's my opinion.
Now, Connie, you know you were already paying it. I just want you to
I
know
know it,
that.
TK, I
To
just
say that
said
you won't want to
that.
vote for it, but
I
yet you're
just
already
said
paying it.
I know it, but I'm paying my property
Okay.
taxes too.
I just want you to be sure that you know that.
I know that. I know it's the fairest tax. I know that.
I would venture to say that, working in conjunction with Derek, that there would probably be another work session commission-wide, not just the budget committee.
We do
on
need that.
Because it is everyone needs to be talking, which, that's the grand thing, we all need to be talking, discussing, throwing stuff out there and communicating.
And also too, I want to bring up the fact that we have a lot of people running for commissioner's jobs. And I have heard through the grapevine that we have a lot of people that wants to change our county. I don't want our county changed. I want it cleaned up with some of the wasteful money, but I don't want my county changed. I want it to stay like it is. I was born and raised here. I want it to stay the same.
Yes, ma'am.
So people of the public needs to do some research on some of these candidates before they vote.
Any candidate, yes, ma'am.
Yes, yes.
Well,
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. Anyone else from the audience? If not,
One more, sorry. Work sessions, I believe we have a work session scheduled with the trustee and the property assessor after full court in this month, correct? Is that not, did we not schedule that? Am I wrong?
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I thought we did, I want to make
Yes.
sure, so, that work session is about a freeze or possible refund, so I feel like, sales tax will probably be brought up.
Yeah.
In
I
that
think
conversation.
that meeting is going to be very pertinent for attendance to be at, all of
Yeah.
us, if we can. I'm excited about it. I've spoke to Junior one-on-one outside the hours to talk about it. It's going to be a great meeting
When is that scheduled?
after.
After full
court
court this month.
This month.
2 weeks.
After 6 PM. So thank you, Mr. Jones. And then, come on up.
I'm sorry. It's a kind of a generic question. So when we get these grants from different things, if there's a contingent, it's like something we have to do or provide, do y'all talk about, do y'all say that too? Or do we need to ask, like if you're getting a grant, what do we have to do to maintain the rules of this grant? Or do y'all tell us that?
So most of the time, our report is our match. Like, so most grants have a match, and you'll hear us say it's a 10% match or a 50% match, like with the bulletproof vests, like we just spoke about.
Okay.
Grants do have reporting, which I assume, and know that Mr. Markham's office handles probably the large portion of that.
But like with the schools, are there ever any
There's a-
things we have to do that are maybe curriculum or things that, not money related, that we have to do?
Director Mark, or
Well,
County Executive?
it's, really, we're not really over the schools, so it's really hard to say, to give you a good answer on the school system side. Now, on the county general side, we do have reporting, and there are benchmarks and stuff that we have to, a lot of grants you report on for years. That's kind of one of the hardest parts of the grant. Everybody says, go get grants, but the reporting and the paperwork to keep up and make sure the money's being spent the way it is can often last for years, and it's a lot more difficult than writing the grant. School side, though, I'd hate to speak for them, but I get complaints from the state if something's not going right, and I have not received any on the school side, so I assume that they're doing everything as they should.
Most grants are pretty much earmarked for like a specific thing. They don't just say, hey, we're giving you $2 million. It's got to be for recreational improvements or for, student.
I just didn't know how
equipment.
many strings are attached to these grants, or if there are strings.
There's always strings. There's always
And with the reporting, you had mentioned, and Executive Robinson had mentioned, the Sheriff's Department gets a lot of grants. So typically, if the Sheriff's Department applies for the grant, then they also comply with the reporting of the grant. But like he said, kind of with the school system, it's still, he gets notified if there's not reporting. And if we don't do it properly, then they can reject, and then we have to pay the grant back. So we had asked for a grant writer in the budget last year, and we just didn't have the extra funds. We were hoping to have a grant writer that could oversee those things and possibly get new grants. We just didn't have it in the funding last year to pay for that position.
Yeah, and when we mentioned hiring a grant writer, it's not really the grant writing that we need to help with, is the monitoring and the paperwork that comes after that. It's just referred to as a grant writer.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, number 9 is discussion of our next meeting. So we are gearing up, and of course, Director Markham has sent out the list of prospective meeting dates.
I left that blank intentionally. I thought that I'm still gathering data from budgetary requests from the various departments. Still working with some of them on that. I've received several as requested, and I appreciate everybody being prompt about getting those in. But I know that there's a few people that we always want to hear from and talk to, and I didn't know if you guys wanted to go ahead and schedule something in March, or if we wanted to push it out a little bit and see. I just kind of wanted to get the thoughts of the committee.
Are you still waiting to hear from some departments, or has everybody made their request?
I'm still waiting for some departments. I've got the majority of them, but I do still have a few departments that I'm working with actively to get those requests completed and finalized.
I almost feel like until we get a final number of what we're looking at, it'd be hard to.
Be tough to start.
Be tough, yeah. I mean, just shooting from the hip.
Yeah. I agree with that. So for now, we'll just,
Okay.
Could we possibly do you think you'll receive those by the time we have full court this month?
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say is maybe once I get all that data in, I can get with the chairman and see about scheduling a special meeting that works for everybody, if that's okay. Does that sound reasonable for everybody?
That's what I was going to do. If we maybe at full court make one.
Just personally, I'd like to go ahead and start that process this month if we can at all, so.
yes, sir. We know it creeps up fast.
Unfortunately, it does.
All right. We
Just finished.
Yeah, well, we did.
Yeah, that's why.
All right, budget season is upon us. Anything else before we adjourn? If not, I'll accept the motion.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.